slowly getting back down to where we need to be here. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video with your boy Thick Whips. Today we are talking about the Supra. So today we're coming up on 8 months of ownership with the Supra, and we're just going to kind of talk about the car, what I think about it, because honestly my opinion has changed a lot since I first bought it. We'll talk a little bit about why I think this car is just so great for the value, in addition to the aftermarket support and how easy it is to modify these cars and make really good power. I am loving this car, man. There's no doubt about it. The more that we modify it, the more that we do to it, it just takes it. The car takes it so well. There is an event at a local drag strip coming up that's a 3-day event at ZMAX in late June that I am going to be prepping for. I'd like to take this car out for all 3 days. The first day is like the showcase car show day. The second day is the roll racing day, which I'm particularly excited about. And then the third day is the drag racing day. So from a dig. I feel like at that point we should have most of the stuff that I want on the car as far as performance goes. So we're gonna test her out. We're gonna see how she does at the track. Should make for some pretty good content for you guys, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Other than making more power before then, the other thing that I'd like to do is maybe shave a little bit of weight off of the car. I don't know if I'd take out the passenger seat or some things in the back, but I think there's some weight to be saved on the car before we actually go to the drag strip. Even at like half throttle pulls, this car just feels so good. The ZF transmission in this car is just, it's perfect. I do think that once you get to the higher horsepower numbers and higher torque levels, you do have to consider possibly building out the transmission, because you can start to hear it slipping a little bit. If you pay attention to any of the cars that don't have built transmissions and they are pushing a lot of horsepower, you can start to hear some of the transmissions slipping just a little bit. But you really don't have to worry about that until you get to like the 700s. These cars with even like mid 600 horsepower can handle it with the stock transmission, which is pretty good. Not to mention, once someone comes out with the ability to tune these transmissions and flash them, they're gonna be even better. Right now, it's basically what you see is what you get right out of the box. There's no available flashing software for the transmissions, kind of like how we could do with all of the other BMWs. They don't really have that yet for this car. But in the future, I'm sure there will be something. I've driven now a couple of ZF Transmission G80 M3 competitions, and what I noticed is on the shifters in that car, they actually have a button to where you can decide to make the clamping power in the ZF even harder, even stronger. So we have to assume that the ZF transmission in the G80 M3 has got to be somewhat similar to the ZF transmission in this car. So with that being said, hopefully someday we do have some kind of option like that for these cars. Now, obviously a big controversy about this car, people wanted a manual transmission, and I totally get it. When I first bought this car, I was coming from a manual M2, and I did miss it. I did miss having the manual, just because you're so engaged in that experience. But once you kind of understand what this car is for and why they built it the way they built it, and just how the B58 responds in this chassis, Z4 chassis, however you want to say it, the ZF transmission really does suit this car very well. It's comfortable, it's fast, and it can hold a lot of power. You see a lot of these new Supras making really, really good power with very few modifications, and that's one of the big selling points of the Supra. The B58 that they have in these cars are making really efficient power. You're seeing people with downpipes and E50 tunes, and they are gapping the majority of cars on the street, as well as Supras running full E85s on stock fuel pumps. And if you haven't seen any of these videos yet, I'm gonna go ahead and play a few of my favorite clips from the racing channel Baba Yaga Racing. If you guys are interested in any like street racing content or a lot of like Supra content, check out Baba Yaga Racing. He has a really good channel. I'm gonna leave his information down below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these racing clips. In Mexico, obviously.
stop. You don't want that. You want it just
It's a Performance Playground Engineering sponsored Supra. It's got a P-tuned turbo kit on it with the G35 1050. Port injection from Evolution of Speed with 1050cc injectors. A Titan Motorsports fuel system. Drive shaft shop axles.
Nice car. What's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal. Ferrari.
Smoke.
One, two, three. 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 Still got a little bit of that E50 in the tank. Trying to get it back down to E10. Put it back on pump. This car will get you in trouble. It's too too much fun. It's so hard to drive this car just like chill. That was one thing that I was worried about with the automatic transmission. Like, am I gonna still enjoy it? Is it still gonna be an enthusiastic experience driving it without having the manual? And it is. Even though you're not rowing gears, just going through the paddles, that super quick shifting and all the noises it's making and how violent the car pulls, it's so much fun. Right now the car on its custom E50 tune is making about 507 wheel horsepower. For a street car that's on street tires, like, it's a good amount of horsepower in this little thing. All right. Get out and talk about this whip. God, I love this thing. Such a crazy car. And they just look so unique. These cars just look so different than anything else on the road. They just have such a crazy curb appeal, such a crazy presence to them. Even when the car was on the stock wheels, all black and just lowered, it looked insane. Like, it looked so good. The way that this car looks, the amount of attention that it gets from people, the aftermarket support for it, it's almost like overwhelming how many companies out here are now making parts for this car, which is a great thing for us to have, a great thing for the market because it creates a little bit of competition, you get better pricing, and the quality of the products goes up as well because everyone's now in competition to make better and better products for the car. So when I first bought the car about 8 months ago, there were a lot of people making parts. It's really exciting because I bought this car so new that I was sort of on the foreground of people making new parts for the car. So every month there's like new, cool, interesting, and like unique products coming out for the car to just kind of individualize your own build, which I personally really like. I'm always kind of looking for those different types of modifications. Most of the cars that I've done on this channel have been older. I had the 2013 F30, I had the 2011 M3, and then I had the 2017 M2. Those cars have been out for a while, so there was already a ton of aftermarket support. All of the name brands that were already making parts for the cars were already kind of set. There wasn't much more like new innovation being developed for the cars. Whereas with this car, there's always something new coming out, and it's exciting. It keeps it entertaining, and it really just keeps you wanting to build your build more and more. So if we just brush on like what I've done to this car exterior-wise, it's really not that much. It's got the carbon front lip, the carbon side skirt extensions, the carbon rear spats, and the carbon rear spoiler. As far as carbon goes, that's it. The wheels are BC forged MLE 81s. Those are probably the most expensive thing I did to the car because they are custom forged wheels. They're two-pieced. I had them designed exactly the way I wanted. And then I'm also on the KW V3 coilovers, which are incredible for this car. By far the best suspension setup that I've ever ran on any of my cars. In the rear, we have the Gold Valvetronics exhaust system. It is valved, so I can open and close it. When it's closed, it's utilizing the muffler. When it's opened, it's straight piped. I have the Valvetronic catless downpipe. Custom badges, we are going to be releasing these soon, I promise. I know a lot of you guys are getting really impatient about those. I have the stud conversion kit, which in my opinion makes a really big difference. I'm always working on this car, constantly taking the wheels on and off. Most of the German cars like BMWs have the lug nuts that go in, so you have to like line up the wheel with the holes every time you want to do it. It's way easier with a stud conversion, and it's not that expensive and it's easy to do. Interior, all I've really done, well, it's upside down right now, is my AZA Auto Wheel steering wheel, which has the flat bottom, the carbon trim pieces. It's all black leather, perforated. It's got the little cutouts for the thumbs, but that's it. That's really all I've done. I have the Valentine 1 radar detector and my black view dash cam. Everything else is stock. This is a launch edition, so it comes with the red. And if we look under the hood, oh, and then also, how could I forget, we did the EVS fenders, which I think look insane on this car. Probably my favorite exterior modification that I've done. Under the hood, we did the FT Speed carbon fiber radiator cover. I have the Mishimoto Performance heat exchanger, Mishimoto Performance radiator. I do have an AEM meth kit set up, but it's currently not running the meth. I have the Veris turbo heat shield. I have the AMS carbon fiber intake. I have the BMW M340 engine cover. Probably gonna get rid of that and go with just like a nice carbon fiber option. I do have the Blitz JDM strut bar. These are made by Golden Wrench. I've got a couple of those all over the car. This This is NV Specialties ECU, carbon fiber ECU cover. I have the FTP charge pipe, and the downpipe is Valvetronic catless downpipe. And then also to top it off, I have the Dress Up Bolts gold titanium hardware kit. It's all over the engine bay. It looks really sick. It's one of those things that it's just a small detail that sets my build apart from other people's builds. Those are the things that I love. Like the little details like that, I love. If you want to include like the tint and everything, I do have 20% ceramic tint on the car. But yeah, that's it. That's really all I have done in the car. I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not. Like if you compare that to some of my older builds, I went like crazy on those cars. I did a ton of work to them. As far as like exterior and the way this car looks, I love the way it looks. I really wouldn't change that much more. So in my opinion, like stock body, super minimal mods, like this is the way to go with this car. It's functional, you can get around in it. It's not too low to where you're hitting everything. The only drawback with this car is there's just not a lot of room. So it's probably better off having it as like a second car. So I talked a little bit about performance before on my Supra, and it is making 507 wheel horsepower on an E50 tune under MHD. That's kind of just where it's at, but all of the tunes we've done have been really, really good. They've been very similar. They put out really good power. We've documented the entire experience from having the car completely stock to where it is now. You guys look under the CES Motorsport playlist. You'll see all of my tuning and dyno runs for this car. We wanted to have that there in one place so you guys could check it out and kind of watch the progression in case there's anything that you wanted to do that was similar to your Supras. There are some people that would complain about the wind buffeting in these cars. People are like, oh my God, it's got the terrible wind buffeting. So this is a fix that I found on Amazon, literally $9, and I fixed the wind buffeting. Or there are other companies that make them for like $150 where it replaces this piece. Completely unnecessary. You can just do that for $9. One of the bigger complaints that people have about these cars are the fake vents. Oh my God. These ones I know for a fact you can, they make cutouts for these. They actually make like a vent that is usable for this, or you can just get wild and Dremel that bad boy out. But really, I mean, where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? There's no pass through here, so you'd have to cut out the bottom of the hood as well to even make that functional. I guess for this one, you could cut it out down here, but again, like, is it really going to benefit you that much? Probably not. The vents, you know, that's a big thing that a lot of people complain about, but it's really not that big of a deal. Like, let's be honest, are those vents really going to change the game for you? Probably not. And they do say that these EVS fenders with the cutouts, they actually help with pressure in the wheel well. So it does relieve some of that pressure inside of the wheel well. Whether that helps with cooling, I'm not gonna say it does because we don't really have anything to prove that, but a lot of the guys who track these cars regularly do say that these fenders actually make a big difference on the track, and that's why they run them. And then there's one other vent back here, obviously, that isn't real that people complain about, but even if you were to make this real, I mean, you're gonna go with that. You'd have to like cut out there, cut out here, so it would flow into the back. I don't know. I really feel like the people who say like, oh my God, it's got fake vents, I feel like those are the kind of people who really just don't like the car anyways. So they never had any intention of buying it. They're just looking for another excuse to complain about it. I would venture to say that those are the same people that talk about the MK4 Supra having about 2,000 horsepower stock. You will get the occasional nice BMW. Is that a Supra? Honestly, most of that is unavoidable. It just kind of comes with the car. If you don't like attention, this probably is not the car for you. Good and bad. You do get a little bit of bad attention from just kids and being stupid and silly, but I will tell you that 98 or 99% of the attention that you do get in this car is very positive, like overwhelmingly positive. People love this car. They love to talk about it. 80-90% of the time that I drive this car, I get stopped. People ask me about it. They love it. They want to know more about it. They say that they're interested in buying one. They ask me if I like it. They ask me if the partnership bothers me at all, which it doesn't. I think that this partnership is fantastic, especially with the B58. This engine is so capable. I've worked on a few different BMWs on this channel, and the B58 by far has been my favorite. Now, some people will say that, you know, the N55 is the better sounding engine. I will say that the N55 has more of like a growl to it, whereas the B58 has more of like a tone to it. But they are very similar, and after owning both and building both up, they're pretty close. B58, like I said, has just a little bit more of like a tone to it, a little more character to the tone, and the N55 has like this growl, like this deeper growl. But nonetheless, this is a very good sounding car, and when you get it straight piped, when you get it with a tune, once you get it to the right point and she's running healthy, sounds really good. So in my opinion, you know, when this car first came out, I felt like a lot of people were just kind of sleeping on it. Like they just kind of wrote it off immediately. They really didn't like the fact that there was a partnership. So you had these like JDM guys that didn't appreciate the fact that it wasn't a true Toyota from the factory, and they expected more from Toyota, being that this was going to be the new Supra. They expected more coming from the MK4. And then you had people like me who were into BMWs that were really interested in this. And I knew that I wanted to build something a little bit different than your everyday BMW that we've done on this channel. I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I knew that there was a lot of controversy surrounding this car, which I kind of saw as something that would benefit me when it came to making content, because either way, people would be talking about it. But now, a year or so later, with these cars just dominating a lot of cars on the road, people are switching their tones up. Some of the body lines are growing on people. The way that these cars look, slowly growing on people. The amount of power, how effortlessly you can make that kind of power, is also growing on people. You're gonna contend with 90% of the cars on the road and beat probably 80% of the cars that you race on the road. It's just really impressive for a car that, you know, is $50,000. I feel like you're just getting a lot of bang for the buck. Now, the other thing that a lot of people want to talk about is reliability. These cars are new, so we haven't really seen many issues with the 2020 Supras. Now, if you guys saw, I recently made a video talking about oil consumption issues in the 2021s. I will say that that is a rather isolated incident. I think it's being blown out of proportion quite a bit, but it is something that is happening with those 2021 models, probably because of the new pistons and lower compression, but I cannot say that for certain. However, when it comes to these 2020s, they have been flawless across the board. People have not had any issues with the engines. We are seeing cars that are making well into 1,000 horsepower. We are seeing cars that are running 9-second quarter miles, and these B58s, they take it. So I really like to make these update videos as my ownership experience evolves, because over time, you know, your opinions can change about the cars that you own. But this car has exceeded my expectations in every single way. And I think it's just the mix between how exotic and different it looks, as well as the performance and how easy it is to make it fast. I think there's just that perfect mix there that works really well with people. And who knows, in a few years, once these cars drop a little bit in value, maybe we'll see them in the 30s. I mean, if this car drops into the 30s, it's gonna be an absolute steal. I'd say really the only drawback with this car is the size. It's a very small car. I know there are people out there that daily drive this car. I used to daily drive my car, but I needed another car just for like content and being able to go a little bit crazier on this car. But I will say you can absolutely get away with daily driving this car. It just depends on your lifestyle. However, if you're someone who wants to go a little crazier on the car, or you just need more room, or you have kids or whatever, you're gonna need another car. This can't be the only car. You're gonna get very sick of that. There are so many things that I love about this car, but it doesn't go without some flaws. The flaws would be the blind spots. It's a little bit difficult to see in this car. If you're someone who's just looking for something that's comfortable and easy and spacious, it's probably not gonna be the car for you. If you're a bigger person, maybe if you weigh a little bit more or you're super tall, this might be kind of a tough fit for you. It is a relatively small cockpit. I am 6'2", 180, and I fit fine. I feel like I have room. What I've learned is that some people are just really picky about the cars that they have. And if you're one of those people when it comes to size, it's just, this is a smaller car, so you just can't expect a lot of room in it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, other than like the obvious, it's been great. This car's been so good to me. Well, we started off with this car. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I was kind of just like, nah, it's okay. But I'm not gonna dive too much further into this video, you guys. I just felt like I had to make an update video at 8 months out because it's a great car, man. I'm just loving it. Like, it's just exceeding my expectations in every single way. I would say that we have a considerable amount of more things happening with performance on this car because I really, really want to dial in the car as far as performance. We're good at like 507 right now on the stock turbo, but obviously we're gonna go further. Now that I have the daily, I've kind of just like, I wanna go full gas on this car, kind of wanna go crazy on it and just make as much cool and like fun content for you guys as possible. But yeah, man, for $50,000, I feel like this is the Supra's the way to go. You guys comment down below, tell me what you're driving, tell me what you think about the Supra, tell me if you're interested in buying a Supra. But anyways, guys, it's been an absolute blast making this video for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe if you're new here. Comment down below, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.